in summing up then, in the sort of 3 stages of Lovespoon carving, if we focus in on the project we've been working on most recently, and just explain those 3 stages.
Fine.
So the first stage then, if we can focus on that one.
This was my first stage. I had the idea. I wasn't concerned about the timber at this point in time. I was just concerned with the design. So I wanted to portray a flame and obviously imagine the power of love. I knew I wanted the date on there because it's the spoon for this year. So the initial design came up like so.
So this first phase, quite often especially with the sort of one-off spoons that you see around the walls in here, it very much sort of starts off by being inspired by something then, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So in this year's case, what was the inspiration?
It was the royal wedding, and the minister who gave the address during the royal wedding, which was Michael Curry. Michael Curry, yeah. Bishop Michael Curry.
A lot of people remember him speaking. A number of our visitors, some say that a lot of people remember him speaking, but a lot of people didn't remember his message. Right. So what was his message?
Well, his message basically was imagine the power of love. If love was allowed to dictate, it would be like the second time that fire was discovered. And so that's why we focused on the flames and imagine the power of love.
So it was quite a powerful message, and he was saying that if we can do things with love,
so we wanted to turn it into a spoon. We wanted to turn what he said into a spoon. So that was the initial drawing.
So sort of summing up, the first stage of Lovespoon carving then is having that idea, and it's having that desire and that sort of that inspiration to do it, the motivation. I think that's the word I'm looking for. So that is the first stage of Lovespoon carving then, is having that motivation to do the project. So that's really quite an exciting stage.
Yeah. And you have, this was the second drawing.
So you can see
how it changed, because I wanted a little bit more
so we sort of
detail.
We go from sort of this here. You can see this drawing seen better days, but we go in from there and we get in a process of evolution. So it's this first stage. Things evolve, things change.
Yeah.
So then where do we go from? We've got a drawing, we've got a piece of wood. How do we move into the second phase, and what is that second stage?
Well, even in the first stage, we still had the things like the 70 years for national health to record.
Right.
World War I ended 100 years, so we wanted to record those things.
We've got lots of stories and...
So we have stories in there, but then we had to find a suitable piece of timber, something that maybe we hadn't used before. I came up then with the alder, which we hadn't made before. A very easy wood for carving, but
and you can see it's a beautiful colour that you get with the alder, isn't it? It's got a lot of character.
It's quite soft for carving, but
finish.
It's quite. You have to be careful with it. It marks very easily. So,
but a lovely colour. So let's focus now on this second phase. What is that all about then?
Well, we transferred the drawing onto the wood, and then we cut the outline, and we cut away the outline. We left the timber for the spoon solid until we were ready to carve the spoon itself, and we cut then all the details out, and we actually then start to carve the twist, carve the details, tidying up the scroll work inside.
So the second phase then, that's very much getting the actual practical spoon, getting that basic design and the sort of ideas, getting them all ready, getting that design all prepared. So that's
and it sort of drifts into the third stage.
Yes.
At that stage.
So there's a bit of a join between the stages. Right, yeah. So the third stage then, what is that?
Finishing the detail, getting so that we can see the letters more clearly, so you're defining each letter, I, M, A, G, and so on, so that you can...
So that is where with that third phase, you're very much thinking more about finishing the project.
Yeah, you're on the way
That end
home,
result.
and you're just getting there now. You're just finalising. You've carved out your bowl. You're making it nice and smooth, maybe using fine paper, and then of course you have the shellacking to bring out the detail, and the shellacking then, a couple of coats of shellac, it shows any sort of things that you're not happy with, and you can always go over them. But that's then basically the final stage.
So just to sum up then, your first stage, and this is, you know, for anyone who's not familiar with the idea of the 3 stages of Lovespoon carving, and again, this is open to interpretation, you know, everybody has their own idea on it, but for ourselves, the first stage is having that initial idea, the inspiration, the motivation, and that's probably that's a nice phase, isn't it? That's an exciting phase. The second stage then probably a little bit more sort of challenging mentally in some ways, because you're working on the project but you're not always sure where you're going with the project and how it's going to come out and how it's going to go.
And is it going to work out?
And is because we over the years there are examples where you know, where we have spent considerable time on a project and it hasn't worked out. I think you've got one example behind you where the original, I think you were 30-40 hours in, so there's nothing guaranteed.
No.
So that is the most difficult stage. And then that third phase, again, it's quite an exciting stage really, because that's where you really see the project coming together.
Yeah.
So it's that middle stage, that second stage, if you can get that right, that's where you're doing most of the work. And then that third stage, usually you start to get a bit more confident at that stage, isn't it, that the project's going to be possible.
Yeah.
So those for us, those are our 3 stages of Lovespoon carving. It's that initial idea and motivation, the actual practical making of the spoon in the middle, and then at the end you've got the finishing touches. But again, it's important, all 3 of those phases, they're equally important, aren't they? So
but that middle stage is the one that
is make or break.
It's make or break. It determines whether
the project's
going to started in number 1 is going to be completed in number 3.
So that's so good. But it's a lovely process.
Superb.
Lovely process, and it's nice, and it's great for anybody sort of taking on their own sort of bespoke projects, you know, any sort of making their own love spoons. It's a lovely process, and we do thoroughly enjoy it. But that one there, that's our spoon for this year, based on the theme of Imagine the Power of Love, and inspired by the royal wedding. And there's some other stories, things like the Thailand cave rescues we've got recorded on there.
That's on the back. Yeah.
We've got that. Then we put those on we've recorded those on the back like so, and some of the other stories that Dan mentioned. But there we go. Those are our 3 stages of a Lovespoon carving.